How do you translate the Arabic from Arabic to English? And to get the right meaning of things, which is something which is important. I'm sorry to say this, but many Muslims need an introduction to Islam. Very often, okay, we know the rules, we know the pillars, but that's not Islam. These are just the pillars. These are just the rules. There is no rules if there is no meaning. If you get the meaning, the rules are elevating, are helping you to be a better human being. But if you don't get the meaning, the rules are preventing you from doing something. So we need also to get a deeper understanding of our own history. And people of other faiths also should do exactly the same. In fact, you know who helped me to write this book? In fact, it's my program manager, my assistant. She's not a Muslim. She has been working with me for the last 6 years. I said, okay, look, if you would like and you have to read an introduction to Islam, what would you like to see there? So she gave me something which is a kind of a structure by saying this is what I would like to know about Islam. And I built the whole thing based on what she said. So this is why I dedicated the book to her. She's one of the most ethical person I met in my life. Reminding me of some of the values that I'm teaching. For example, she said, at the end, you might have to do something which is 10 things you thought you knew about Islam, and in fact you don't know about. In fact, I put this, which was a good idea, that Penguin liked it. You thought you knew about Islam, and in fact, if you study, you don't. So I structured the whole thing through history, principles, sciences, and then challenges and contemporary time.
I actually had a skim through the book, and different from the previous books that you've written, it's and leading up to tonight's exclusive launch, you've actually been on Channel 4, you've been on the BBC as well, discussing, we have done our market research as well. The thing which I found interesting is, for Muslims in particular, not to be on the defensive. And I think instead of us being the audience where the question is posed towards, maybe flipping the question to the person asking us. I was slowly getting this from the book.
First, I was not, by the way, expecting this from Jon Snow. We even didn't talk about the book, and we went straight through radicalization and violence, and then forgetting the whole thing, which is, once again, the angle to which you enter into a topic is going to define the whole discussion. So you are put on the defensive and starting, for example, by saying, I think I got this in the 3 interviews that I had. This was in Channel 4, BBC, and CNN. The 3 interviews where you are controversial. Stop entering the discussion in a way which is putting Islam as a problem and not understanding that it's a spirituality, is a civilization, is a religion, and you need to get to understand it before just looking at the problems that are your own perception. You need to be courageous enough just to enter without prejudices and without just your perceptions of the other. I'm asking the readers to do this, and among them, of course, the people of other faiths, even the atheists and the agnostics, or the Jews and the Christians, to be able to do this, and at the same time, for Muslims to be able, during this journey, to reassess what they thought they knew about their own religion. Heard that this is what Islam is. They don't know. Even in our tradition, we have many different interpretations. It's not because your interpretation, it's the one that you know, that it's the one which is right. It's just the one that you know. The richness of Islam is that 2 opinions could be as Islamic as they are from within the tradition. So we have different trends, different scholars, and it is agreed on things that were essential and things that were secondary. So if you want me to start by talking about Islam, don't make radicalization the most important thing in my religion, because it's not. It's your perception, but not my reality. So the next book that I'm writing now, it's a manifesto for an Islamic liberation theology. It's all about liberation. It's how do you liberate yourself from what the people are talking, or what the people are doing with you, or even what you yourself, being alienated intellectually, you do to yourself, because sometimes you are the first to imprison yourself in very wrong and superficial perceptions.
Well, who has a copy of the book, by a show of hands? Who's read some of the book, or all of the book?
So in only one started to read it. Wow.
But when did you buy it? You bought it tonight? Yeah. So then it's literally the essentials. We're going back, if it could be, if there was another title, would be Islam going back to basics. Because at a time now, what you're saying, that's what we need. You very carefully use the word Muslim majority countries and not Muslim societies. Because Islam has evolved and changed. Maybe the Islam that we know is not the Islam that is practiced back in the Middle East or parts of Africa, for instance, or Asia.
Education, by definition, is adapted and thought in a specific environment. In Muslim majority countries, you have to deal with the environment. How are you going to do this? So when you have an adhan, when you have so many things, so many symbols, and the majority of the people are Muslims, this is why you need to get a specific way of educating the people. But when you are in a society where the majority of the people are not from your religion, you need to get it, and you need to equip the people with other means. So education means adapting to the environment within which you live. The Salafi who are following in the footsteps of very literal reading of the Quran, I don't agree with them, but I need them. Why? Because sometimes they come to me and say, be careful, the way you deal with the reality is making you forget the texts. And they are right. And I need the people who are reformists, because it's true that we have to read the text and to repeat the text, but the reformists are saying, and I'm from that trend, you need to understand the context within which. And I also need the people who are mystical, or the mystics, who are saying, be careful, don't understand the text only with your mind. There's something that you have to understand with your heart. How are you going to know if you get the text? By the way you recite the text. Yeah. If the text is changing you, it means that you get the meaning of the text. Why? Because the Prophet was saying that the best among us, peace be upon him, was saying the best among us is the one who is having al-akhlaq, the ethical behavior. Not by the fact that you have a very nice voice reading the Quran, but you have very nice manners. The way the text was revealed, the cultural and the social environment within which it was revealed, not confusing the principles of the revelation with the model of its implementation. Amruhum shura baynahum, they have to consult. The time of the Prophet, peace be upon him, it was sitting around and sitting down and consulting the people. Now we have new means where, for example, you are going to consult, you have internet, you can consult throughout the world. So you change the means, you change the model, you keep the principle. So the principles are eternal, not the models. The literalists are confusing everything. So they take the principles and they think the way it was implemented is the only way to be faithful to the principles. I'm saying no. Faithfulness to the principles means evolution of the models. Because if Islam is suitable for all times and geography, it means that the models are going to change, but the principles, you have to keep them. But in order to be faithful to the principles, you have to change the models. Be very cautious with your judgment. You judge the behavior, you judge the action, not the people. Because in one night, in 30 seconds, something could happen in his or her life, and just with 30 seconds, he's going or she's going to be better than you. You have fasted and prayed for 30 years, in 1 minute, he's better and you are lost. People are quoting the Quran. The way they are quoting the Quran is wrong. It could be, for example, a reduction of the understanding of a verse, or a distortion of the verse, or a distortion of the meaning of the verse. It's non-Islamic. Why? Because the behavior of killing innocent people or torturing or what they are doing has nothing to do with our religion. This is contradicting the message of Islam. And second, in which way, for example, Muslims could do in the name of Islam things that have nothing to do with the message of Islam. As a Swiss citizen, I would let nobody come to me and say, you are a minority. It's like, what? Which type of minority? I'm a citizen. There is no minority citizenship. When I started, I said Muslims and people of other faiths. Not saying non-Muslims. And I keep on repeating this. You have no right to define the other through your center. So you speak about people of other faiths, and you name them as a Christian, as a Jew, and we should not have this binary vision. We Muslims, we are the center, and you at the periphery, non-Muslims. We don't like it for ourselves, and we do it to others. There is brothers and sisters in Islam, and there's brothers and sisters in humanity. Put the two together. For 20 years of my life, I have been talking about to Western Muslims, you have to be citizens, you have to be involved, you have to be... And then I understood that you have to be very cautious because even the notion of citizenship could be distorted. When, for example, at the end, as British or as European citizens, you end up creating a hierarchy between yourself and the people around. And you look at the refugees that are coming and the migrants that are coming. In the name of our citizenship, we care about the people who are killed in our society. We don't really care about other human beings. It's as if my people have more value than their humanity. So the notion of citizenship is distorting your understanding that we are all equal human beings. It's not normal for hundreds of people or thousands of people to die in the Mediterranean Sea or to be rejected at the time. Now that I'm talking to you in the Balkans, I was reading this morning, that you have people waiting because they cannot enter. It's cold, it's difficult, and there are refugees. We treat them as animals. And we have normalized the fact that when it comes to our people, our citizenship has more value than our humanity. And some of you who came from the South, after 2 generations, you are integrating this hierarchy in a way which is not acceptable. If at one point your citizenship has more value than your humanity, you are in danger.